What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB coming to you tonight with the review for Cloak and Dagger. This is season 2. This is episode number 8, and it's titled 2 Players. So, you guys, we only have 2 more episodes left of the season, and we're almost done. So, without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. All right, you guys. So the episode kind of picked up where last week's episode left off. And that was with Ty, and Tandy when, they busted into the hotel room, and then, he fell out, and, the black clouds just kind of surrounded him. But then we also see that there's this arcade, and there's a guy in there. I don't know who the guy is, but I think we're going to get a little bit of answers as to who the guy is a little later. So, so the episode also we see at the hotel. Well, the hotel, motel, whichever one you want to call it. We see Bridget there. And, we see some of the other cops talking about the girls. And, she's like, they're victims. And then she's like, yeah, well, have we arrested the guy that, owns this motel? And one of the guys was like, yeah, we've arrested him. But he was immediately bailed out. And I'm like, that is nasty as hell. And, he was like, it'll probably be, pretty soon before they're back at it again. And I'm like, I would hope not. But, people like that, they don't really care. So you're right. It might be minutes, hours, days, weeks before they're back at it again. And then it's so freaking nasty. All right. So then we see Evita. Evita, she gets a phone call from Tandy. And, I guess Tandy is asking for help with Tyrone because we don't really actually hear the conversation. But then once the phone call does end, we hear Evita. She's screaming out for Auntie Chantel. But Auntie Chantel does not answer, and we'll find out later why Auntie Chantel does not answer. So then we see her. She left, and she is there with, Tandy and an unconscious Tyrone. So then Bridget shows up as well, and Bridget is just telling them where she came from and what she saw, which we know what she saw, and Tandy knows what she saw because Tandy is the reason that all, the stuff happened. The girls got free and everything. So. Evita is telling Bridget and Tandy that Tyrone is transitioning. Excuse me, y'all. So when she was saying transition, I'm like, does that mean that Tyrone is dying? When she said, because when you say transition, that means you're crossing over to the other side. So Tandy is talking about how she feels like Tyrone is in, I guess you would say, a safe place where he resorts to when he's afraid. And how he's stuck in there, and basically it's up to Tandy and Bridget to go in and to save him. So and she's talking about the last time that she was in there, what she saw mayhem, and then she also saw Papa Legba. And Evita's like, Papa Legba? Well, she didn't say Papa Legba, but she said Papa something. And Evita was like, Papa Legba? She said, yeah, that's him. So then we see Evita. She's drawn a vevey around Tyrone. And she says that when they go to, when you're trying to talk to Papa Legba, you have to have some kind of offering for him. And the offering that you would have to have for Papa Legba would be something sweet, like, some sweet candy. Because that's what Papa Legba likes, is candy. So then we see both, Tandy and Bridget, they go inside of Tyrone. So they're, like I said, they're inside of Tyrone. And, once they're inside, they... get to the same spot that they were at before with the big, are those binoculars? I believe so. They were at the big binoculars, and Papa Legba, he takes, we all know he takes many different forms. So he took a form that I think Tandy might have been familiar with. I don't know. And then he was like, where's my offering at? She's like, oh, here you go, some candy. So he takes the candy. He's eating the candy. So then Tandy peeks through him, and she's like, "There's the mall's not there." And Bridget's like, "A mall?" She's like, "Yeah, the last time I was here, there was a mall." So it's actually the arcade. So then Tandy is taken to the arcade, leaving Bridget by herself. So then Papa Legba shows up to Bridget in a form that she recognizes, which is her ex-boyfriend, or her deceased boyfriend that was in her refrigerator. And she's like, "You're not really him, are you?" He says, "No." And she's like, "Oh, you need an offering, don't you?" He says, "Yeah." And she's like, "Here you go." He was like, "Gum, some spearmint gum. This is the best you can do. You know what? Leave it alone. Have at it. So then Bridget looks through the binoculars, and when she looks through them, there is the mall. So then she's in, she's in the mall, which that was interesting. But it makes, because I was kind of confused at first when I looked at it. I did not know what that was. I couldn't picture that was the mall. But then afterwards, I'm like, okay, now it makes sense to go back to it and think that was the mall that Bridget was at. And we all, like I just said, Tandy, she was at the arcade. Okay, so yeah, individually, Tandy has her own path to follow, and so does Bridget. All right, so then we have Evita. She's still, with Tyrone's body. Morbid to say that. And, she is just saying, Papa, show me what's ahead. So she has some shells in her hand, and she takes the shells and she shakes them and she throws them like some dice. And, the shells, they arrange in a special way. And she looks, shocked or in disbelief at what she saw. And, she's like, okay, she kind of pushes that away. So then back in the arcade where Tandy and Tyrone are, well, where Tandy is, she finds Tyrone. And, actually, let me back up because I actually did forget to mention that. So when Tandy went to the arcade, I'm assuming this is Papa Legba that she was talking to, because she was trying to make a deal with Papa Legba to, release Tyrone from where he is. And Papa Legba says, okay, let's make a deal. He says that, because she was like, I'll play the game for him. He was like, deal. If you play his game, and if he says that, play the game, and if you convince him to leave, then I will release both of them. So Tandy does find Tyrone, and he's by a video game, and he's playing the game. So, she's telling Ty that she's there to take him home with her. And, she realizes that she's not getting through to him because he's still playing this game, and he's just into the game so much that he's just not really paying her any attention. So she's like, you know what, cool, I'm gonna join you I'm gonna come over here on the side of you and join you playing the game. So, so she looks at the game, and the game is, the character that Tyrone is playing is himself. And then when she looks at it, the character that she's playing is herself. She's like, wait a minute, so this game that's me and that's you? So we're playing ourselves, huh? Okay, interesting. And then the game has a story, and I think it said they were shot up with radioactive heroin. I'm like, interesting. Okay. So they start playing the game, and then eventually they 100% become the game. So you'll see, bits and pieces you'll see the 3D game, and then you'll see them inside the game playing, which I thought was kind of cool, because that gave you like Super Nintendo feel, old, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. That gave you all those kind of vibes of the games from the the early 90s and the 80s and everything like that. I was like, man, that is really cool. Like, I want to get some old school games, which I actually have some, because I actually have a Super Nintendo, I have an N64, I got my PS4, PS2, Xbox 360, N64. I got a lot of games. I got a Game Boy that was in black and white. Like, man, I got a lot of games. I'm a gamer. I love video games. I've loved video games since I was a kid. Like, my cousin, he has the old school, I don't know if he still got it. He had the old school Nintendo where I got my Super Nintendo sitting right in front of me. The Nintendo when you have to blow into it. Like, that just aged me, basically. That just let you know that I'm almost 30. Because you haven't had to do that in years, because now you buy the games on your PS4, your Xbox One, or if you have I have PS2, what else? PS4, the games that have the disc. My God, I just aged myself. I really did just age myself, but we're gonna move on, you guys. So, we moved back to Evita. So, Yeah, so we move back to Evita. So so Auntie Chantel shows up, and Auntie Chantel does tell Evita that she is in fact dead. I'm like, no, which I figured that last week with last week's episode. I'm like, I think Auntie Chantel is dead, but I didn't want to say that Auntie Chantel was dead, but I had a bad feeling that she was. So Auntie Chantel is telling Evita that it is her turn to take her spot. And Evita was like, no, Auntie, like, I'm supposed to go to, go to college, go to medical school. She's like, no, girl, those are your selfish wants and needs. And, I guess she's saying that the spirit worlds are, telling her what her real path is. But you know what? That's up to you if you want to follow that path or if you want to follow this path. And, she tells her, but there's only one way that you can save your man right there, and that's to marry him. And I think she said using a Loa. And I'm like, oh, God. And I really do like Evita, but my thing with Evita was, it is nothing against Evita, absolutely nothing against Evita. My thing is I like Tandy and Tyrone together, but maybe we'll see that. Who knows? Oh God, I was just like, man, that just broke my heart right there. Broke my heart. So Tandy and Ty, they are still playing the game, so they're going from one level to the next level. So then they get ready to, they were at level 1 and they went to level 2. They passed level 2. Now they're heading to level 3. And level 3 leads them back to the motel. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, Tandy's going to freeze up because that was traumatic for her. So we then see Evita. Evita is making a wax figure. And, we see, like I said, Tandy was afraid. She wants to go, but Ty is like, no, we're going to stay. We need to stay here and we need to conquer this level. So Ty is fighting. So, she's like, well, shit, he's fighting. I got to jump in and fight. So then, like I said, we see Evita. She is, she's just getting ready for, this wedding that she's going to, preparing to marry Tyrone. Okay, so then like I said, so Tyrone and Tandy, they're going from room to room in the motel, and they get to this last room in the motel, and who walks out but none other than frickin' Andre. I'm like, you bitch. So when Andre shows up, Tandy disappears, which that's no shock right there, because Andre, he scared her. I'm like, damn, man, he really did a number on her, and I don't think it's the fact that he did a number on her. I think it's the fact that the situation that he put her in that was terrifying to her. So, so we still had Evita. She was still preparing to do this marriage to Ty. And we see Ty and Tandy. They are arguing because Tandy, like I said, Tandy left the game. So Tandy tells him that, Andre made her see life, see him die in front of her. And Ty was talking about because he's talking about the reason why he went to the hotel to find her, because she asked him, why did you come look for me? And Ty says he just doesn't want to live without her. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, star-crossed lovers. I'm like, I really, really want these two to be together, but with what Evita's doing is probably gonna put a big monkey wrench in everything. So like I said, they're still arguing with each other, and then in the arcade, a bouquet shows up in there. And Papa Leg was like, well, my brother, you married, so it is what it is. So then we see them, all three of them, Bridget, Ty, and Tandy, they are back in the real world from inside of Ty. So we're just going to move on from that scene. All right, you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the scenes together that actually went together and flowed together. So that way, I don't have to keep jumping from here to here to here to here. So that's what I'm doing this week. That's what I'm doing. And that's what I'm probably going to do going forward. Like I do with all my scripted shows, with the exception of Power Rangers, I just try to put everything that flows together. So that way, everything cohesively makes sense. And the reason why I don't do it with Power Rangers, because Power Rangers is a 30-minute show, and it really wouldn't make sense. So we see Adina. And Adina has a file in her hand, and we see her, she's going to talk to the priest. So what it is that Adina wants the priest to do is, because she found a way that she can save Tyrone, so, and she needs his help. And I'm like, what kind of help does she need from the priest? Well, she explains it. Well, I'll explain it to you guys why. So she has a file, and that file it will put an end to all the crookedness, the corruptness of the cops down there in New Orleans. And she can't take it to the cops. And the reason why she can't take it to the cops is because if she takes it to the cops, then they're going to want to know, how did you come into getting this information? Whereas if she gives it to the priest and he takes it there, he's bound by, he's bound by his oath that he can't tell it, Oh, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, now it does make sense. It's like when it's kind of like the Hippocratic oath for doctors and lawyers, and even with priests. When people go to make full confessions to them, they can't actually take that. Like if somebody say, I went to a priest and I told him, Father, for I have sinned. And he was like, my child, what did you sin? Should I kill somebody? Wait a minute, you kill somebody? Yeah, Father. I mean, it was an accident. I didn't really mean to kill him. We were just arguing over a parking space and I just shot him dead in the head. So the priest he could not go to the cops and tell the cops that I murdered someone, because that would go against his vow to God, right? But yeah, that's really what it is that she can't do. That's the reason why she's going to the priest, because he can't tell them where he got the information from. But he's hesitant about doing it. And I'm like, why are you so hesitant about doing it? So, he was giving her he was giving her back and forth on that. So then he tells her, he keeps telling her to have faith. I'm like, have faith when she's lost two of her kids. One is dead and one is in hiding. He can't live his life in peace. So you telling her to have faith, and I know she should have faith, but how can you expect her to have faith when, like I said, one son is dead and the other one is not able to live his life? So then he tells her, he can't take the files unless she makes a full confession. And I'm like, okay, makes sense. So we do see Adina. She is making a confession to the priest. Well, she's telling him everything that, happened with Connors, how, she was holding them basically hostage. And then we see in the bathroom is covered up with plastic. I'm like, oh no, Adina, please don't tell me you did what I think you did. And she did. Adina killed Connors. I'm like, damn. But how would that help? I don't know how that's going to help Ty, though. That was what I was confused about, because that's why Ty is in hiding, because of Connors, because people think that Ty killed him, right? So I was just really confused about that. That is confusing. I'm gonna put a question mark on that one for now. All right. So then also we saw Leah and we saw Andre. So we saw Leah. Leah was on the street looking like some kind of hoe, and the man was trying to holler at her. Well, she tased the man and stole his car. I'm like, well, okay, if you say so. So we see, they left, like I said. And we see Andre, and he's not looking too good. Look like he's having some issues because he's holding his head. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with Andre? So, he tells her he needs to do this one more time. And she says no. And I'm like, what is he asking her to do? So then we see Andre, he puts his hand on her and he's in the record shop. So in the record shop, you still see those broken records that Mayhem broke last week. And so then we see Bridget. Bridget is outside. Actually, Bridget was inside the record shop and she's like, what the hell is going on? And Mayhem grabs her and pulls her back. So then later on in the episode, towards the end of the episode, we once again saw Andre. So Andre, he has, and I think it was that I don't know, that curtain that was in the record shop that had, the Loa and the Vevey all on it. I think, well, the Vevey on it. He was looking at it in the car on like a napkin or something, and he was humming a tune. And he's in better spirits now. I'm like, oh, okay, you in good spirits? Okay, I would love to just take those good spirits away from you at this point. Like, I would love for you to feel what you made those girls feel, like little, insignificant. Like, that's what I would just love to do for Andre. And like I said, all this stuff is towards the end of the episode. So, actually, these scenes right here that I'm about to talk about are literally at the end of the episode. So, we see back in Auntie Chantel's place, where they are wheeling out Auntie Chantel's dead body. Rest in peace, Auntie Chantel. You will be sorely missed. Rest in peace, my dear. So then we see Tandy. Tandy is, at home looking for her mom. And, she sees an empty bottle of alcohol, and she sees a pill bottle that's empty. And I'm like, I hope Tandy's mama's not dead. Like, that would be horrible. And, we see Bridget. I think Bridget was at that hotel room where she had set up everything about the missing girls. And we see her, she's burning the papers. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What the hell is going on? Okay. And so then lastly, we see Tyrone. He shows up and he comforts his friend Tandy. I'm like, oh, isn't that sweet? Like, I really just want those two to get together. Damn, Evita. Why? I know you had to bring him back, but damn, Evita. Really? All right, you guys. And so lastly, I want to talk about the scenes with Mayhem and Bridget. So we saw them. They were in a record shop, and they were talking about the records, and Bridget was looking at the records, and she was like, "These are missing girls," and Mayhem was like, "Yeah, those are the missing girls from the flyers," and she's talking about how basically Andre is behind all of that, and how he comes into the record shop, he plays the records, and I think those records represent pain, and he feels energy from the pain, and I'm like, that is low. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know how I feel about that, but so we see those two, and they are trying to come up with a plan to stop him. So then we also see those two. They are at in a nail shop, and doing a mani-pedi, and they kind of bonding and connecting with one another. I'm like, wow, this is an interesting sight to see Mayhem and Bridget connecting with one another, and they're just talking about their childhood, how their dad took them to a bookstore or a comic book store. I can't remember which one it was. And Bridget, on the one hand, she sees the good side of her dad, whereas Mayhem saw the negative side, where she thought that their dad was using them to talk to the manager who worked at the bookstore, record store, comic book store, whichever one. I forgot which one it was. So, after what Bridget saw that day at the motel, she tells Mayhem that, because Mayhem was like, I don't want you to put me in a closet and lock me away. She's like, I'm not going to do that. She's like, from now on, I'll let you have the will to drive. So, and I know when I was talking about it earlier, it wasn't, 100% in place. But when we got them back in a world, in our actual world, I believe we have a hybrid of Mayhem and Bridget. I think we had the good side of Bridget, but we also have the tough side, the kick-ass side of Mayhem. So I'm interested to see how this plays out, because Tandy even called her. She's like, are you Bridget, or who the hell are you? Well, technically, Tandy, she's both. She's just a good side of Bridget and the not so good side of Mayhem. But you guys, that was the episode. Like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys later.